It's going to be brutal. These aren't two pretty boxers. These are two violent punchers. So it's going to be dangerous.
When you were stuck between AJ and Dubois, and AJ threatened to smash the table over Dubois' head, what was going through your mind at that point?
You're dreaming. You're dreaming. They have not got the talent, full stop, to be competing with the best sides in English football.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Whisper It Loudly. I'm your host today, Jordan Jarett-Bryan. I'm joined, as usual, by Hugh. Troy's back. Subscribe if you haven't already. We're across all the socials, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and here on YouTube as well. Give us a subscription. That would be great. And as Hugh reminds us every single week, if you have some money, you want to invest, you want to partner with us, holler at your boy. We're here. We're here. Ready and waiting to do business with you all. Okay, we got a big pod this week, guys. We got a special guest, our brothers in the building, Ade Oladipo. I would say,
Let's go.
The new face of boxing broadcasting.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
I'll take it.
The Zone, Talk Sport,
Take it.
everything.
He ain't even denying it.
No, and he shouldn't.
I'll take it.
And he shouldn't. And he shouldn't.
Nah, I knew it was like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
This guy is now
Established.
on top. Yeah.
The guy.
He's now the guy.
The guy.
Yeah.
You think
That's what I'm
boxing, you
saying.
think
I would
Ade.
say the guy.
How are you doing, sir?
No, good. Especially considering that we have a big week coming up in the world of boxing. And we've had some big weeks in the last few months as well. So it's a good period for boxing fans and people working in the sport.
Just remind everyone who you support.
Liverpool.
We're going to get there.
Oh, we're gonna get there.
We're going to
Just
get
hold
there.
his hand for a minute.
We're going to get there.
I'm going to let Jordan ask questions.
No, jump in, please jump in.
Listen, I've already got so many questions that I'm like, I was about to, you go.
We'll get to the boxing in the second half
Yeah.
of the pod. There's a lot I want to get through, and also your rise as well, because we're really happy and proud to see the moves you're making. But we'll get to boxing a bit later. Let's do football first.
Oh, no.
Let's get to the football first of all. And let's pick up on my club. Arsenal win the North
pick up
London
on your club
derby.
quite a lot, don't we?
Well, they're the hot team. We don't know what to do. Arsenal won the North London derby on the weekend, as predicted. I told you all last week they did win. Didn't I say?
I wasn't here,
Oh, you wasn't here, but you
back
heard.
then. Yeah, you did.
1-0 win at Spurs. Darren will have words next week as well. But I want to throw forward a little bit more to this weekend's game against Manchester City, another big game away at the Etihad. And I'll start with you, Hugh. A lot of people were speaking about this fixture last season at the Etihad and saying Arsenal their approach should have been to go and win the game rather than to try and get a point and keep it moving. I disagree with that, but that was the take. In terms of this fixture, is this the game that you think Arsenal need to win to really assert themselves as like, okay, we're not just a little brother anymore. We're going to come to your ground. We can beat you at home. We're going to come to your ground now. We're going to beat you and assert ourselves as the team. Or is a point a good point?
No, I just think the dynamics last year were different because when the fixture happened, really, and that's why the conversation around it was different. I think it's early in the season now. Nothing's going to be determined at the weekend. If you are talking psychologically from this point, obviously, you can't lose the game. Because I think City have started the season so well. Haaland started the season so well. They don't really look like anyone's going to beat them. You've got your opportunity now to at least fracture the kind of confidence that they've got just a little bit. I think otherwise it'll be tough. Like if they run out winners and they don't really look tested by Arsenal, we'll all be saying who's going to beat Man City for the title. It's theirs to lose. So I do think you need to have a good performance. If you do lose, it has to be tight. You have to have chances. You have to show that you are very much capable of winning the Premier League. So it's very psychological. In terms of the result, though, I don't think it will determine anything. I just think you don't want to let City get on ahead of steam where they're feeling invincible.
I think losing, Troy, especially now for Arsenal, isn't as terminal as it would have been had they lost on Sunday to Spurs. But how do Arsenal win this game? How do Arsenal get 3 points? Or is it a case of no matter how well you play, Haaland's the difference?
It's a strange question because, in fact, I don't want them to get a 3 points.
Of course you don't.
Do you know what I mean?
You're a
But you know
hater.
what? They have to take, not heart, but their performance against Spurs, and I know you didn't want to touch on this, but their performance against Spurs away from home was perfect. The setup, the way that the team got their shape, the way that Spurs couldn't impregnate them. Solanke had a chance in the first half, didn't he, where he took too long. I'm struggling, you might be able to help me. I'm struggling to remember Spurs having another chance. There was a lot of crosses. I'm not being funny. We've got Gabriel and Saliba who are going, bring it on, just give us the crosses. And it was just a perfect away performance.
Except for chance creation. But I know what you
But
mean.
I don't think they care about that. I think ultimately, Arsenal's aim was to go 1-0 up, knowing that Spurs were never really going to hurt them. This is a different kettle of fish, but I think it will be the same approach in regards to making sure that they're tight, they're strong. Rice comes back in, which helps them. But City just have a way. Listen, if they looked at the way Brentford played on Saturday, Brentford were gun-ho. Brentford were, we're going to take this and we're going to match City man for man, and hopefully our quality will shine. Brentford didn't finish off the chances that they had, else that game could have been out of sight before Haaland even had his first opportunity. I don't think Arsenal will take that approach, because I still think there's that fear that we'll get cut open if we allow De Bruyne a space, if we allow Haaland to run off the back of one of the centre-backs. So I think keeping it tight. And remember, if Arsenal had slipped one of those chances away last time in the boring 0-0, the worst 0-0 that I've ever seen in my life.
It wasn't quite that bad. It wasn't a great 0-0, but it was
bad. For two top teams, it was bad. But I don't think Arteta, and this is the new Arteta that is now, when I say new, I mean he's gone gun-ho before and been ripped apart. Mm-hmm. He's now gone, do you know what? We've got a stable backline. Butterway, Timber. What a player,
beast.
Butterway.
Love him.
What a player.
I love him.
So the backline now is so secure that he doesn't have to make changes. Rice comes back in there probably for Jorginho, and I think, look, I see it as a City win. I don't think it's like mad if City win and go 4 points clear, because the season is so early, and we're introducing a new Champions League, and no matter what everybody says, that's going to affect teams that are in the Champions League and impact on their quality, their performance, particularly at the end of the season. But look, taking chances is important. I like the fact, I didn't like it too much, but the fact of the quality that Arsenal were bringing on didn't really impact the game, Sterling, Jesus, but do you know what? There'll be games that they will impact. And for me, they've got an amazing backline now, but also the qualities going forward. They've always had them, but I'm talking about in the big moments now, could be with who they bring off the bench rather than who they start.
Addy, my concern is that Troy says there, if they lose, they go 4 points behind Manchester City. Yeah. Do you think they might as well try and go for it and win rather than take a point and keep it moving? Because 4 points is not ideal, but you could potentially make up 4 points with what's left of the season. They might as well go there and try and win. Or do you think, you know what, just stay close to them, try and get a draw. You know, Rice returns. Rodri, I'm 99.9% sure, will be in that team as well. Yeah. Do you think now's the time Arsenal go be like, you know what, this is not, as Hugh said earlier on, the back end of the season where a point would take it and run. Actually, let's go and try and stick it on them.
Yeah, you got to. You have to go there and show them no respect. Like, I always felt like Liverpool, peak Liverpool under Jurgen Klopp, you'd go to the Etihad and say, we're here to win. Like, you're not going to bully us, you're not going to outplay us, we've got a different style of football to counter your style, and we're going to go. Then look, sometimes Liverpool lost, but you were proud as a Liverpool fan to think, okay, we're going there and we're going to fight. It's a fight. We're not kind of sitting back and trying to get you on the counter-attack. And I felt like Arsenal last season, for a team that were challenging for the title, you went there and showed too much respect. Arteta almost showed too much respect to Pep. So did your players on the pitch. You've got players now that are winners, a couple of world-class players that should go there and say, no, we're here to beat you. Because I almost feel like you can't just wave the white flag against this Man City team. And we've seen it. Oh, look, Ipswich and Brentford ultimately got beat, but they had to go. They had to go. And they almost woke up a dragon, but they had to go. You guys have got to go there and really go for it. And if you get beat, you get beat, but you can't go there with fear. And that's what I want to see from this Arsenal side this season.
But sorry to cut you. You mentioned the Liverpool teams that went there going to win. My concern is that we don't have killers up top to really be the difference. You had Salah and Mane. So it's easy to go to the Etihad when you've got those two and Firmino up front. We haven't got that kind of front three. So I'm wondering if you go there, you get slapped 3-0 because you try and stick it on them, the impact that might have down the line. Whereas there's a point, not a safe point.
You're not that kind of team.
You're
not that kind of team. You're not that kind of team. Like, Jurgen Klopp's style is so different to Arteta's that, you know, when you say stick it on them, it's not like you're going to be leaving gaps and gaps and gaps. That's not how Arsenal build up. You know, they're not going end to end in terms of leaving big spaces. So when you do build up, when you do attack, you know, the team goes forward together, you condense the pitch. So it makes it harder for teams to counter you as well. So you're very different in terms of style. So I don't see that happening. But I just want to stress, though, that we shouldn't give too much importance to the games against Man City. You got 4 points from them last year.
Yeah.
1 win, 1 draw.
Yeah.
So the title was decided in the games elsewhere.
Yeah.
But someone needs to dent City.
Yeah.
And the only teams capable of denting City are Arsenal, maybe Liverpool at Anfield. You've got to dent them.
But they dented them last year. That's my point. They dented them last year and they still didn't win the title. So, it is going to be about the 38 games. That's what I'm saying. It's not
But it's-
obviously, if you lose, it's not great.
It's what it does for Arsenal. You go there and beat City. I mean, your confidence is sky high already. Let's be honest, you probably would have beat Brighton if Declan stayed on the pitch. But you go to the Etihad and beat City, you're walking into every ground now, and it's damn Arsenal here.
So on that, if Arsenal win on the
There's a fear.
weekend,
Oh my
do
God,
the
there's
three
a
of you
fear.
look at Arsenal now as the favourites?
No.
Well, I said before the start of the season that I thought they'd win the league when we did our little predictions.
Not necessarily,
even win-
because
win there.
In the same breath, City will go to the Emirates and
fancy themselves.
yeah, do you know what I mean? So I think Hugh's right. It's not just about Man City versus Arsenal. It's about how you
Everybody
keep
else.
that mentality on point for the other games. Games where you might think,
The Fulhams, the Palaces, the mid-table teams.
I mean, I'm not calling any teams out because their fans
I
aren't
will.
listening. But yeah, I think it's those other games as well, keeping that mentality on point for games where actually you think, this is not a City, we can stroll this one, and you don't stroll it. Yeah.
You know, it's minus Haaland. Arsenal actually remind me of City. Obviously, Arteta's tried to kind of build like a City side, almost like 4 centre-backs playing the back 4 positions. It's very much like City. And you look at the 2 teams that have won the league while Pep's been in there, and it's 2 teams that are completely unlike City. Chelsea's Conte and Klopp's Liverpool. I almost feel like you've got to be another way of winning this league and not being like City.
You can't be a Pep too.
You can't be a
to win
Pep. Yeah, exactly. And sometimes I do look at Arsenal's side, and I know people have labelled like Arteta a B-Tech Pep. It's not true. It's not fair.
Tosh.
But the fact is,
You love people.
the fact is, a lower level Pep, isn't it?
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel like you've got to be completely the opposite to get the results, i.e. Klopp and Conte. So it's going to be interesting to see if he can mix up a little bit more this season and try something a bit different.
I can't remember who was saying this recently, but I wonder what you guys think about people basically saying that, not that Pep's ruined football, we've heard that, it's kind of lazy and stuff like that, but what they were saying was because so many people have now the basis of short passing, keeping possession at all times, like no one is, in fact the Premier League now, it looks so samey in terms of what managers are trying to do, that actually you're not getting the results don't differ, there's nothing as unpredictable as it used to be because no one's going Sam Allardyce style, no one's going Steve Bruce style for it. It's just
what it is it's the manager that knows that on a particular day that I'm going to need to change. Pep did it at the Emirates. Arsenal, Man City went long. Man City went long into Haaland, off to De Bruyne, back in, bam, goal. Did it on a number of occasions. By the time Arsenal woke up to it, it was too late. They got there, they created, and everyone's going, long ball, City. It's those managers that can go and think, you know what, Arsenal are going to think that we're going to be pressing, we're going to be in their face, we're going to be popping off. Let's do something different, go long.
They did it against Brentford.
Every manager has to have that. And if you don't have that, then you haven't got, people call it a plan B, you haven't got a different style, and your style then gets worked out. So, look, Pep will be just as wary of this game on Sunday as he has ever been, because he knows they're in good form. Like you said to me that they're away at Atalanta on Thursday night. That's not an easy fixture for anybody.
Not at all.
The tiredness, the demands of the game, the etc. But you can lose a Champions League game. You've now got 7 to come back and play in. Does he risk that game so that he prepares properly for City?
Yeah, I think so, by the way. Just, like a lot of people, what's the new Champions League going to be like? People are kind of wondering. For it to work in terms of a product, you have to front load a Swiss model group stage with the good fixtures. If you look at who Real Madrid are playing in their first 4, if you look at who Liverpool are playing, look at who Man City are playing, Arsenal, they're all a big glamour-tised. If you do it the other way round, teams win the first 4 or 5 games, then they chill. Yeah. So the big fixtures become my B team against your B team because we're basically already through. Yeah. So they have to front load it with the good games. I still think Atalanta on Thursday is essentially a Europa League tie for Arsenal. Like, you play your B team in that game.
Well, I think they have to, because the likes of Partey can't play 3 games in a week. I think he'll get rested. Yeah. Rice will probably come in for him. Then you've got
even
Jesus
Rice
might come in for
an hour for me.
Yeah.
Tops.
Yeah.
Because even if they're good enough to get, even with their second team, I think they're good enough to get a draw. But even if they lose the game, it's not the end of the world. Man City playing Inter Milan.
I don't know about that of Atalanta.
I'm going to say the same
Arsenal
thing.
don't have that European pedigree where Arsenal can rest players against Atalanta.
Tell him again.
No, but listen, but you're missing the point. Even if they lose, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if they lose.
But to Addy's point, okay, swap Sterling for Saka.
No, he just said
Rice for
European
Partey.
pedigree. Yeah.
No, but I'm saying I could put out an 11 that rests 4 or 5 key Arsenal players, and I think they can still get a result.
But also think that they want to start well. It's
Of
the
course.
It's not. Do you know what I mean? It's the Champions League. It's the pinnacle. It's everything that you guys need to do better at.
All right.
It's a Swiss style
And this is
model.
This is a European champion as well in Atalanta.
Yeah.
Guys,
Yeah.
it's a Swiss model. The only teams getting knocked out in a 36 team league are 8 teams.
No,
But we're talking as if it's the old Champions League where it's like
No, we're
you've got
not.
6
No,
games, there's pressure on the fixture. There's no pressure on the fixture. It doesn't matter if they win it or not. It doesn't matter.
There is pressure on every fixture because the manager will apply the pressure to the team. And I think that they might, and I agree with Addy, that they'll want to start well.
Yeah.
But I also think that he's going to have half a month. You know when managers say, I'm not thinking about the game beyond, I'm thinking about this one. He's got to think about Man City because he's got to have his team performing. What?
I don't like when people think about the game after the game. The biggest game this week is Atalanta.
But you just said they're boying it off.
No, I'm saying to Addy's point, I think they could rest 4 or 5 key players and still beat Atalanta.
Listen, if they were playing Slovan Bratislava, what would we be saying?
Yeah, but they're not.
So they don't want to make a good start then?
But I just said they do.
Exactly, that's my point. So if they were playing Slovan
doesn't matter.
Bratislava, you'd be saying the same thing, wouldn't you?
Doesn't matter. If they lose,
Exactly.
they lose.
Yeah, but with
the new model means it doesn't matter if you lose the first
I don't
game.
like the new model. I don't care about
I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it.
You're not mad at it?
No.
Oh, you wait when you
The old model, old format was tired.
But we're developing a Super League. You do know that,
Yeah.
don't you? It's being developed under the noses of the people that didn't want the Super League.
Listen, let's get back to domestic. Just finally on the fixture, can anybody see? I did. Can anybody see Arsenal winning on Sunday?
Of course.
No.
It wouldn't surprise you if they won on Sunday.
It wouldn't surprise me because they're a very good team.
No, it would
I'm not going to be.
It would surprise you.
When did they lose at the Etihad?
It
would
I've
very
seen
much
City-
surprise me.
I've seen City lose at the Etihad in that famous game in 2018.
Anyway, moving on.
I don't think Arsenal. Arsenal.
We'll see. Big game on the weekend for Arsenal and City.
Hold on. What are you saying?
I don't think they will win, Arsenal. I think Odegaard's a massive miss. And I still think those few chances they get, I'm still not convinced that we've got the finishers to take those key chances. Yeah.
Sterling to start?
No. I think he should have started on Sunday gone, but I wouldn't start him in this game.
It's weird that your best finisher for me is Trossard.
Yeah.
It's like the one that I feel like, if he's going for on goal, I expect him to score.
He's
The rest,
one
I'm
I
not
trust.
confident at all.
I agree.
So do you need a 9?
A 9. All right, Troy. Well done, Uncle Troy. Let's move on to your mob now, Troy. Tottenham, they lost a game on the weekend, but Hugh, you've been saying for a while now that you don't think the results are reflecting the performances at Spurs.
Yeah.
Do you think...
the first 3.
The first 3 anyway.
Yeah.
But they've got who they've got in terms of personnel. Postecoglu's going to double down on how he's playing. Do you see this getting any better?
Well, I was going to say, if he doubles down on how he's playing, I don't see it getting any better. He does need to have a little bit of a tweak because they aren't really creating enough chances. I get it. They had a lot of shots in all the games, and I praise them for that more so than most. But the game against Arsenal, outlined a huge flaw. You have small, diminutive players. You have no real leadership, no real character when you look at the squad. The big character is Romero, who runs around kicking people most of the time. You got Van der Ven, who people are calling like a Rolls Royce and stuff like that, but he doesn't have really any level of aggression. You got some creative players who they come in and out of the game. You want them to be much more consistent. And the plan at the weekend was horrific in terms of Gabriel and Saliba in the middle, just crossing it. You got to turn. It doesn't matter who you're playing, I think. When you're having 60% possession in a game, you got to turn that into at least good chances. I'm not even saying you have to turn that into a result, but you have to create something with that level of possession. They didn't. And I know Arsenal are a very good team, but it almost showed you the levels between the two sides. What else can you say? Tottenham just aren't there. I watched the game and said, cool, they are what I thought they were. When I said to everyone, they need to focus on other competitions from the Premier League. When I said you might be able to win a Europa League. I know there's good teams in Europa League, but you're amongst the better teams in the Europa League. That would be huge for Tottenham. FA Cup, League Cup especially. You got to give that a big go. That's your. I don't even mean to be disrespectful.
How do you not focus on the Premier League though?
As in, no, but here was my view.
How do you do that?
Here was my view. Here was my view.
To not play your best 11?
No, but no, it's not that. My view was, if you make yourself good enough to win the Europa League, you'll be good in the Premier League.
I get you, okay.
See what I mean?
So don't rest players in the Europa League.
So I'm not saying, listen, the Europa, but it's your main competition. So when we get to the back end of the season, and you're playing a Thursday night game, say, against a team like, I don't know, Fiorentina, I don't know, who's someone from, you know what I mean, in the Europa League, but you've got Brentford on Sunday. Your main game's Fiorentina.
The main game's top 4.
No, but this is my point. So I'm not saying they can't get top 4. They can. But just make yourself the best team you can be.
Adi, I'm really fascinated by Postecoglu's approach. But do you think his bullishness that he's coming with is needed to kind of really turn the screw at Spurs to become winners? Or actually is he coming across a little bit deluded?
Slightly deluded. Like his post-match interview was interesting when he said, I always win things in the second season.
Which is
this
facts.
Is the second season. Yeah, but this is the Premier League. No disrespect, this isn't the Scottish League or a league in Australia. This is the Premier League. But you know what? Sometimes it just comes down to maybe this other team's better than you. Like they finished 5th last season. There's no shame in that. I know Tottenham fans, want top 4 and they even want a title run and they might look at what Leicester have done and what Villa have run.
Or do they want a cup?
Top 4? I think if you ask Tottenham fans top 4 or a certain cup, and this is where it gets stupid. Like, because they should. You ask them top 4 of the League Cup, I think they'll say top 4.
No, the Spurs fans that I know, we've got one here, we'll come to in a second. I think most Spurs fans will take a League Cup and finish 8th. Dude, they've got top 4.
For 1 year.
Yeah, for 8th is...
Peak, yeah. But for 1 year.
8th is a drop-off.
Yeah.
8th is a drop-off. Like, look at United fans right now, and I know it's different because United are a bigger club, quote-unquote, but they will take it. Well, they accepted it, but look, even they wanted Ten Hag gone and he won a cup. But I look at Spurs and like what Hugh said, they do look small and diminutive, but then again, Arsenal look like giants now. Their key players are not turning up. Maddison started the season so well last season, had that injury, and I don't think has recovered. Brennan Johnson I think Nottingham Forest have done so well getting rid of him because he doesn't look like he knows anything other than to run. And then when he does make a decision, it's the wrong decision. Solanke, we've got to give him time. It's not his fault he cost 65 million. He's not worth 65 million, but that's not his fault. It's a good squad of players, but is it a better squad than Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City, Villa, Chelsea even? No. So sometimes you just got to weigh it all up. They don't have a better squad than
But isn't
those
the
teams.
fact that Villa have been relegated, come back and have a better squad?
They've got a better manager. Unai Emery's a better manager. Unai Emery could be the second best manager in the league.
But
He's
Spurs
a much
could have
better manager.
had him. They could have got him. Why have Villa overtaken Spurs? I get your point about Liverpool, Arsenal, but Villa to overtake Spurs. If you're a Spurs fan, you're pissed.
Villa's what's really, that's peed off a lot of Spurs fans because Spurs have spent money, so have Villa. So why have Villa completely jumped us? That's the argument. But I think, look, Postecoglu last season, first season was a decent season. There was no plan B. There needs to be a plan B this season. And I think we saw it against Arsenal. There so far doesn't look like there's a plan B.
Tottenham fan, what are the fan base saying? Are you looking at Postecoglu kind of side eye now, or do you think actually you're backing him? Are you looking like this is going to end badly?
I get your question. I know where you're going, so I'm going to cut you off.
No, I wasn't going nowhere.
But I'm telling you now, he's lucky he's a nice guy. And he comes across very well. And remember that Spurs previous... He comes across well. The media like him.
It's wearing.
It is a little bit.
Is anyone going to let me finish before you cut me off at my hill? But I'm telling you now, like, if you look at previous Spurs managers and what they've had recently in Mourinho, in Conte, it was almost like Spurs fans were going to accept anything that was totally different to those two because they weren't happy with the football. He's come in, he said all the right things. Spurs fans have fallen in love too quick, won the title by September last year, was it October? And they've gone on that crest of wave. He's in for it this season, for me personally, because he hasn't got a change of style. His team are not aggressive enough at times when they need to be aggressive. His playmakers don't play-make anymore, and his forwards are not scoring. He's got a captain.
It's a problem, isn't it?
It's a massive problem.
Quite a few big problems.
He's got a captain who everybody loves, but is he captain material? He's not a captain. So I looked at him on Sunday and I thought to myself, White's seen you off. You're going to try and get into the middle. You're not good enough to go and play in there against a top side. And actually, Son has been taken off quite a lot of times in games, which as a captain is almost disrespecting his qualities, because sometimes captains stay on the pitch because they know how to, do you know what I mean? It's not their quality on the ball, it's that they organise very well. Spurs do not have an organiser. And I said about this team from time, like, on the eye, they were looking good last year. The Chelsea game exposed his tactics. When Chelsea won 4-1 there, it exposed his tactics, and nothing has changed since. I think the mentality of the players is what's wrong. Is he the man to get it out of them? They're not winners. They've not got a winning mentality. They've not got a brutality about them. Yes, they'll do the odd game here and there, which, as we've said, every team can now. But they've not got a brutality about them to take them to the next level. Now, whether that's because he's not being backed in the market, but when you get Solanke for 65, you're being backed. Do you know what I mean? Is Solanke, I like the lad, but he's never impressed at any of the top clubs that he's been at. So he's been at Chelsea and he's been at Liverpool. Bournemouth might be...
His level.
He's
And I don't want to be...
above that, isn't
yeah,
he?
it's
But he's
slightly
below
above, but it's a
Tottenham.
big leap.
He's below Tottenham.
And the
I don't know if he's
enormity
below
of these...
Tottenham.
He's
The
below
enormity
Spurs.
of these football clubs means that you can't go 3, 4, 5 games without putting the ball in the back of the net. And I watched it. I thought he was very good on Sunday to begin with, when Spurs were good. But that chance was the big chance. And any centre forward with any ounce of puts it away, you go 1-0 up, and then...
I thought that was a bit harsh. I think he's got to get a shot off.
He's got to get a shot off.
But to put it away, I think to say he should score that is a little harsh.
You know what the problem is? For 9 years, they had a guy that would score.
I was just going to say, Kane
That's
probably
the
puts that
problem.
away, but we're talking about
Well, if
a
we're
freak.
talking levels and we're talking that this is where Spurs want to be, they paid for a guy to do just that.
Most strikers don't score that goal.
You don't think?
No.
Haaland scores the goal.
Here's the
Again,
thing.
we're talking freaks.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that if you spend 65 mil, Spurs don't spend 65 mil that often.
Is that a lot
And when
more
they
than a
do,
striker
they
now?
get it wrong.
Is that a lot more
When
than a
they
striker?
do, Spurs spent
Spurs,
65 mil.
For Spurs, it is.
7 million less
It's
than
a-
Hoyland.
Yeah. What? Say that again?
7 million less than Hoyland.
All right, 7 million less than Hoyland. The same as Haaland.
Yeah.
Haaland was 60 something.
But that was a deal because it was
But
the
it
last year
doesn't
of his
matter.
contract. All
It
right.
doesn't matter what they've done. If they seeked out a deal,
Remove
they've
the
got it.
name. Remove the name and the fact that
just
we
look
want
at the
him to do
money.
well. Just look at the money. They spent 65 million on a striker.
No, I agree. I'm just about that chance specifically. I think it's harsh to say he should score that.
Here's the thing, like there are a few things with Tottenham that I've
I was
spoken
happy
about
with
before.
Tottenham,
that we've spoken about it before, so I'll say it briefly. But the knowing what you are as a football club is one of the issues at Tottenham right now, because all this talk about getting to the top is like an identity crisis. You know, we're talking about Postecoglu being deluded, but if you're a Spurs fan and you think we should be in the upper echelons of football at this point in time, with the investments that you've made, the players that you've signed, you're dreaming. You're dreaming. They have not got the talent, full stop, to be competing with the best sides in English football. So that should be out of the question. But this was just the second point on it.
That's harsh.
No,
That's
but
harsh.
you can come back to me in a second. But the second point on it, lost my train of thought.
Just while you're thinking, I'll just endorse that point as well. I think you name 4 or 5 clubs that have better teams and managers than Spurs. So it's not harsh.
I
Really.
don't
Should
think they've
Spurs
got,
be
I
the
don't
top
think
4?
they've got better squads,
no,
but no one's got the right to be top 4. We spoke about Emery and Villa, and ultimately, Emery done his groundwork at Arsenal. The fact that Arsenal fans disrespected him, that was their problem at the time, yeah? He's come back, he knows the league, he knows what he wants, he knows how to win. He was a top-class manager and is a top-class manager. He's getting maximum out of those Villa players, maximum. And you can tell that they're enjoying playing for their manager as well. When you have that, it's a match made in heaven. Spurs don't have that. A lot of clubs don't have. I don't think Chelsea have that. They've got a squad of 99.
Go on, finish up you.
No, my second point was on belief. Tottenham don't have belief in what they're doing at the moment. Villa do. Villa have belief because they've got big results against big sides playing that way. So for the players to look at the manager in the dugout and know that the instructions they're getting are definitely going to work, they've got an extra level of belief. They're now going to go into the Champions League. They're like, do you know what? We've got a game plan. If we carry it out, we know we can get results. I think Tottenham do need some big results over big teams so they can get back to truly believing in what the manager wants them to do. He's spoken about them having a lack of belief in what he wants them to do. I think at the start of last season they did because they were winning every week. As soon as that dropped away, the results, they've lost belief in what the coach wants them to do. So at this point in time, if he does have an answer, his players aren't prepared to carry it out for him. That's obviously a big issue.
Liverpool. Oops.
More than happy to talk about myself. Let's go.
Let's do it quickly. A defeat on the weekend against Nottingham Forest, a bit embarrassing, and they were poor.
Yeah,
it wasn't like a smash and grab. They were really, really poor. Yeah. But is it a blessing in disguise to have that defeat now?
No, it can never be a blessing in disguise to lose at home. No.
But now?
No, I think it brings the fan base back down to earth, because I think we were getting excited and talking about being in the race, if you like,
you were.
with Arsenal and City. And that's obviously not happening. But he just got it wrong. He got it wrong. And, he's been a bit... I love Arne Slot. He's come in, it's energetic, but there's a bit of arrogance there. And I've seen the same thing with Erik ten Hag, so I don't know if it's a Dutch thing. Like, he even said recently doing the sort of post-match interviews, pre-match interviews for AC Milan, we shouldn't be losing to a side like Nottingham Forest. Yeah. And I kind of found that quite disrespectful. Yeah. And he says, even in the lead up to the Man United game, he says, look, we've beaten two teams that I don't expect to be anywhere near there in Ipswich and Brentford. And very true, you don't say things like that. Okay. So you've just got to be a bit careful. And I almost feel like he's approached it, a few good results with a bit of arrogance. And I feel like he needed to be brought back down to earth as well, knowing that there are things to work on. Like the substitutions against Nottingham Forest were abysmal. Just embarrassing. It was almost like something you'd do at school. Okay, Van Dijk, you defend, and everyone else just go and score. There was no structure to it. So I'm not too disheartened. I knew there would be issues after Jurgen Klopp left. It was never going to be seamless like that. It just doesn't happen. But Liverpool have, I think, 3 or 4 genuine world-class players. So I'm okay with how the season's going to pan out. I still think there are things that need to be done. We all know that we needed a number 6. You don't go gun-ho for Zubimendi and then not get him and then not fill that void. I think Gravenberch is going to do it, or Trent folding into the midfield is going to do it. So there are problems, but there is enough in that squad, more than enough, to be competing towards the end. Whether or not we are competing with Arsenal, City, I don't know. But let's not forget, we only finished 9 points behind City last season. So it's not all doom and gloom.
Is Trent going?
Possibly.
And do you think he's having Slot?
It's going to take time. Trent's had 9 years under Jurgen Klopp, a manager that was almost like a father figure for him. It was like Jurgen Klopp unleashed him and made him into Trent. He probably never heard of Arne Slot before the rumours started happening. So you've got to get that respect. I remember when, I can't remember the Man United manager that came in, and Cristiano Ronaldo said we'd never heard of him before, Ralph Rangnick. It's not that bad, but there is a lot of players in that Liverpool dressing room that are big name players that Arne Slot's got to get the respect from. And I think Trent's one of them, along with Salah and Van Dijk and the others. But if Trent wants to go, look, if you look at the Real Madrid project and thinks Carvajal's now 37, 38, and you just slot straight into that project with all those superstar youngsters and you've won whatever you could win for Liverpool, you can't blame him for wanting to go. I think there's pressure because he's vice-captain. He probably will be captain soon, and he's Liverpool born and bred. So it's not as easy as Salah or Van Dijk going, but if he does go, you can kind of understand why he would want to go.
Whose fault is it? The club's or
the club?
Him and his
the club
team?
Massively. There's clearly a wage structure they don't want to break, and Trent will go away with the England boys, and he'll know what they will talk. He'll know what everyone's on. Rashford's on 350 grand. Trent's on like 120 grand, and he'll know. Like, well, 1 second, look what I'm on. They've got a bigger problem. Luis Diaz is still on his contract at 55,000 a week. Luis Diaz is on 55, and he's probably seeing someone like Chiesa coming in, who's on way bigger, and Diaz thinks, well, 1 second, So Liverpool have got to break a wage structure they've never wanted to break. And it means Van Dijk getting a bit more money, it means Salah getting a bit more money, and it means Trent definitely getting more money. Because again, he'll look at what others are on when these boys go away, and he'll talk and he'll show the nice little, and he will know what they're on. And he will also know what Real Madrid are willing to pay him.
Yeah, of course.
On a free.
Oh, of course.
So there's no signing fee, so you're getting everything. So he knows what he's doing.
Of the 3, who do you think will be there next season? Out of Alexander Arnold. I keep calling him Trent, I've got to stop doing that. Alexander Arnold, Van Dijk, Salah.
Van Dijk's there.
Alexander Arnold, the only one will still be there.
The other 2 you think will go in the summer?
Yeah.
I'll be shocked if Van Dijk goes.
Yeah, Van Dijk will go.
Salah I can understand.
I think Van Dijk goes as well.
Yeah.
I think he'll go.
Van Dijk, I think, is the one who's been the most non-committal out of the 3.
Yeah.
Really. I think Salah's actually shown that he'd like to stay if he can get the deal. I don't think Van Dijk's ever really been... I feel like the moment Klopp left, he was like, do you know what?
I'm going.
It's getting towards the end of my career. Let me just try something new. I've been at Liverpool for a long time. I just see him as that kind of guy where he's also like,
They're brands now.
If I get to play for Real Madrid, it will be an honour for a couple of years of my career. Or the other hand is, if Saudi want to give me 100 million quid for 2 years, then I'll go there. Like, I do think he's kind of like, let's assess our options much more than the other two.
If he were to go, Trent I can handle. I know he's a fantastic young player, but I see a Conor Bradley, different style of player. We've got a right back right there. And you've already seen him getting more minutes than I expected this season. If Van Dijk goes, my God, the house just falls down. There is no, like, even with his legs slowing down, he still controls it so well. You know, like when Keane was gone at United, his legs were gone, but he's still there because
he can conduct things.
Yeah, it's funny because I always used to laugh about, like, we let Jordan Henderson go, and everyone says, yeah, but he's gone. I'm like, yeah, it's not that, it's his presence. Jordan Henderson screams and barks orders. Van Dijk's organisational skills are so key at Liverpool. Mate,
this is what we were talking about Tottenham a minute ago.
Yeah.
They need someone like that. They don't have any of that in their squad. Even someone whose legs are gone. But Højbjerg was the only one who'd be like,
he'd rattle people,
in
their faces, wouldn't he? He'd upset a few people. And then
but also
he wasn't deemed good enough. Do you know what I mean?
He was good at keeping the structure. Across the team as well. They just don't.
I remember when Jordan Henderson played for England. Everyone thought his time was up, and you could hear him sort of belittling Saka and just screaming. And sometimes I watch that Liverpool midfield. Szoboszlai doesn't talk, McAllister doesn't talk, Gravenberch certainly doesn't talk. I'm like, who's actually talking here? And it's Van Dijk's the only one. Salah doesn't talk.
It's funny because of the three, I think Salah's the most important one.
The thing is, you lose your heart.
I'd keep Salah.
You don't want to lose those goals.
No.
You lose your heart and soul if all three go.
Oh my Lord.
And the pressure that the manager comes under, because it's almost like, well, it's your fault. But it's not the manager's fault, is it? He's been put in a scenario where these guys have got one season left. He's got to try and convince them that this team is going to be good enough for them to remain. I think Trent's gone. I think Salah, if something big does come in, he has made the right noises. And if he had a good season, I think he'll want to sign. But you've spoken about the structure of the pay. I think with all three of them,
big money
in their advancing years, but actually they still hold enough to be able to go, I want a little bit more.
The problem for Liverpool was Salah, and this is FSG have made a big boohoo out of this. Salah on the market is still worth. If it's to Saudi, it's still 80 million, whatever. So forget football. Look at it from a business standpoint. How are you letting that go for free? It's 80 million. Even Van Dijk to Real Madrid, 25, 30 something. So you're letting Trent is worth 100. So you're going to let Trent go for free? You've made mistakes. Forget football, just business standpoint. What I mean? You've ruined it completely. You've letting all that go for free.
All right, let's put a bow on all of the football chat for now. We're going to pivot and move now towards Addy's favourite topic. It's boxing next. Okay, welcome back to Whisper It Loudly podcast. We're going to talk all things boxing now. We have the Oracle. We have the main man, Ade Oladipo, with us here today. Before we get into boxing chat, what I want to ask you, and I wanted to ask you on camera, what was you thinking, Ade, when you were stuck between AJ and Dubois, and AJ threatened to smash the table over Dubois' head? What was going through your mind at that point?
Yes. Honestly, because you do these face-offs, and 9 times out of 10, the boxers are quite respectful and they can be quite boring, and you're trying to stir it a little bit because that's what ultimately the viewers want to see, and you want that viral clip to then tune in to the real thing. And I've had quite boring ones, apart from maybe Chris Eubank Jr., Conor Benn, because of the names. I've had boring, mundane ones. So when AJ said that in my head, I was like, please, Daniel Dubois, respond. And Dubois responded, and I immediately knew what I was doing. I was like, okay, I'm going to step back and let you big boys get involved. But one thing I will say from it, I was so happy that Dubois stood up for himself. Because AJ, I think, he's known Dubois since Dubois was 15, 16. And he's had him in sparring when Dubois was 17, 18. So AJ, at the time, would have been about 25. So he's always been the king, the big boy. I'm the one, I'm the multimillionaire, I'm the guy. Whereas Dubois has been a kind of kid on the outside looking in at AJ. So when AJ said that, I think he still looked at Dubois like the little kid.
Yeah.
Like, don't just, like, what? How dare you talk back to me? And Dubois was like, oh, 1 second. I'm a big boy now. I'm as big as you. I talk to you how I want to talk to you. So I loved it from a Dubois standpoint. And I wanted that viral moment, and it did go viral.
I think one of the things that was key in that for me is AJ's been obviously coming back from the defeats and building back some of the, I think, mental resilience that it felt like he'd lost a little bit of that sense of invincibility as he goes towards the very, very big fights that we think might happen within the next couple of years. And I think for him, he doesn't want that confidence broken. No boxer wants their confidence broken, obviously. So he wants to get back to I'm AJ, like the AJ that was winning fights comfortably and knocking people out. And I think Dubois challenged that sense of self, where it's like, you're not that AJ
that anymore, yeah.
Like, you've been losing fights. You're not that guy anymore. Like, you were that guy, but I don't see you as that guy. You might think, oh yeah, he's back. Not for me. I've seen you lose fights. That's where all of my training's going. Those are the videos that we're watching. We're not watching you how you're knocking people out. We're watching how you've been beaten, and we got enough evidence. So I think it gave an insight to what angle Dubois views AJ, what light he views AJ in, and it also gave a quite an insight into where AJ's head is at, because he kept saying, "Don't disrespect me," and I was like,
"He's done it already."
No, but I was a bit like, we can disrespect you now. Like, we shouldn't, because you deserve respect for what you've done. But I mean, in terms of someone who's fighting you, I'm not going to do it. But in terms of someone who's actually going to get in the ring with you, there are some things that I can say now. Before, we could do a little face-off. I couldn't say nothing. There was nothing for me to say. It was like, yeah, I'm the underdog. Let me just be humble. He hasn't done what AJ's done, obviously. But if he wants to get in his head, he's now got something to use against him. And I think he needs to use that. I also think it's weird, because when he said, "Don't disrespect me," I'm like, listen, when you get in that ring, you can't respect him. All the people that beat him didn't respect him. So you can't respect him. If anything, I'm like, in terms of Dubois, I'm like, well, go on then, innit? Don't respect him, because that's what you need to win this fight. Allow the respect.
Well, I want to get to your overall year, because it's been a big year for you and a lot of big fights that you've been working on, and boys come and chip in as and when. But on Dubois, let's focus on him a little bit, because we know a lot about AJ. Yeah. How good is he? I'm not a boxing head, so I look at this and I follow boxing, so it's my job, but I'm not a boxing head. How good is Dubois? Can he really win this fight?
Good as in current boxers? The current landscape? Or are you talking like...
If he was to win on the weekend, would it be a shock?
It'd be a bit of a shock. Yeah. It's to put like a football sort of analogy. It's I don't know, AJ. It's not. How dare you? It's if AJ is Liverpool. AJ is Liverpool, because the top two, Fury and Usyk, are Man City and Arsenal. Dubois would be middle of the ground, Crystal Palace. So can Crystal Palace go to Anfield and win? Yeah.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? So it can happen. Dubois is good. Look, I think a lot of people remember Dubois from that Joe Joyce defeat, where he kind of quit, if you like, where he didn't want to get up, even though he had a fractured orbital, whereby if you get hit on that again, you can't see. Yeah. So that's the small lines sometimes of being someone that goes out on their shield and you can't see, and we love you, or saving yourself for another day, and ultimately he saved himself for another day, and here we are. He's a top 5 heavyweight. Okay. He's had a better year, a much better year than AJ. AJ's beaten some names, and he's done well to beat those names. But when you look at it on paper, his last fight was against an MMA guy in Francis Ngannou. Yeah. The fight before that was a guy called Otto Volin. The fight before that was a guy called Elenius. Whereas Dubois has beaten unbeaten Hrgovic, and he's beaten unbeaten Jarrell Miller. 2 fights that he was underdog in. So Dubois had a much better year, and he's confident. Dubois came into our attention when he was a teenager. He's now 26. He's a man. He's a grown man now. He's confident. He's got a good trainer. He's a massive human being, and he's been boxing since he was 7. You can't beat that. AJ started boxing at 18. I mean, 7 is like kind of the age you need to become a professional footballer. AJ's done well to get where he's got to, because it's too late really to start boxing at that age. So Dubois got more experience than AJ, and it's a problem for AJ.
I've heard all that.
All right, go on.
What do you expect to happen?
I expect AJ to stop him brutally.
Really?
Yeah, brutally. Dubois gets hit too much.
Right.
He gets hit with that right hand way too much, and he's done well to kind of get through those tough fights against people that hit. He's not going to get hit like the way AJ hits him.
Right.
AJ's now, one thing AJ didn't have before, he was a bit nervous of getting hit back. Because you know if you hit, you're leaving yourself open to get
something back.
All of a sudden, something's unlocked with him. It could be just a case of whatever, F it type thing. But something's been unlocked with him where he knows he's got to go into that fire now. And he's been prepared to go into the fire. And Dubois just leaves his chin out there too much. Right. And if AJ, all 19 stone, hits him clean, it's not going to be good for him.
So when you say brutally, do you mean like if he lets one go early, or it could just be a brutal fight that ends with sprawling out and everything?
Yeah, I think these guys are going to go from round one. Normally in boxing, the first round's like the feel-out round. Everyone's having a look at each other like, okay, what are you going to do if I do this? I think literally it's going to go. It's 96,000, Wembley Stadium. The crowd's going to be insane. The ring walks are going to be fireworks and pyrotechnics. And I think they're both just going to be excited for it and go for it. So, and I think if they do that, AJ's just a better boxer than Dubois, and I think he's just a bit more powerful.
Was there any animosity between these two before that little face-off? Was there any beef or any fallout? Was there any history before that link-up?
They had a spar. They had a spar several years ago. Okay. And the rumours are Dubois hurt AJ badly in the sparring session. Okay. There's a fighter there called Anthony Fowler who's part of Team GB, and he kind of put it out there on Twitter. Those things are kind of kept behind closed doors because everyone can hurt everyone in sparring because you could be someone coming off your couch and the guy's ready to go. Like he's looking at you. And AJ in sparring, I spoke to AJ about this yesterday, he's almost like the cup final for everyone. Like, what, I'm sparring AJ?
Yeah. You bring your A game. Yeah.
Whereas AJ's a bit more, I'm sparring Dubois. Yeah. All right, type thing. But AJ got clipped, and he got wobbled. So that means he knows that Dubois can hurt him because that was a kid Dubois, let alone the guy now. So they've always had that. And at the time, Dubois kind of let it slip as well. He was a kid, he got excited, he let it slip. I wobbled AJ in sparring. Again, things that are not really supposed to be told. So I feel like AJ looks at him like, okay. You're talking the talk now, yeah? Let's see when we get in the ring. So there's no real animosity. It's not like Fury AJ or Usyk AJ. But there is a case of we're going to hurt each other and fight each other. And that alone brings its own animosity, knowing that you're trying to beat me and end me. I'm trying to beat you and end you. And it's going to be brutal. These aren't two pretty boxers. These are two violent punchers. So it's going to be dangerous.
If AJ does lose, and you haven't got that in your mind, what does it do? Does that end him?
Yeah.
Full stop.
It's done. Yeah, it's done. If AJ, this is the pressure.
And does he know that? Yeah. Do you think he knows 100%. That if I lose, I'm
100%. Because there's two things here. It's okay losing to Alexander Usyk. You know, the last two defeats. Because Alexander Usyk, when it's all said and done, and we look back in 100 years, I'm not joking, he will be discussed. He's that special. So that's fine. That's okay. And AJ's done well to kind of rebuild himself from that. Yeah. And that's a difficult rebuild because he's had 3 fights he really didn't want to, but he's had to start again. Yeah. AJ's going to be 35 in October. It's not only a rebuild job of another 12 months and Eddie Hearn, you know, trying to resell the cell again. It's losing to Daniel Dubois, who you weren't even linked to fight 6 weeks ago. He can't lose to Daniel Dubois. And I know his team have heard me say this and they maybe don't like it, but it's true. You can't lose to Dubois. He's got to win. Right. Dubois can lose. He's 26. You're supposed to lose to AJ. You can build yourself. Dubois wasn't supposed to be this outworldly fighter in big fights. He's done well to get here. AJ is, Dubois called him the king of boxing. Yeah. So you can't lose.
Let's chat about you now. It's been a big year, as I mentioned earlier on. You've been back and forth between America and Saudi and London and Saudi and London and Saudi and London.
It's kind of been like that.
I can't just go on the phone. I'm just in the airport. I'm back in the bit. It's like, bruv. How much have you enjoyed it? And what do you think of your rise in this last 18 months in particular? Because you've really made some big moves. You're fronting pretty much the Zone's coverage now. We've all seen it. What's it been like for you?
It's been incredible. Honestly, it's been incredible. Some of these events in Saudi and the States, especially the States, because you're going over there and you're a Brit going to the States. You know, like back in the day, like singers, to make it, you got to go to America. Actors, you got to go to America. So sometimes I'm out there and I'm thinking, they could be using an American for this. And there are a number of American voices, but they're saying, no, we want to get Ade over to front it and do all the interviews and so then to get the tick from American boxing fans, because they just feel like we Brits don't know stuff about boxing. It's quite weird how their thought process is over there. So to get the tick of approval, it's weird.
It's so weird that they go like, you're British, you're like, we've the world champions that we've had, the impact that we've had in boxing, the promoters, it's been a while.
It's so crazy.
And then you watch their shows on a Saturday and I'm like, I'm watching some guys who should not even be in a ring. No, literally just no boxing skill whatsoever. And I'm like, you enjoyed this. Genuinely, but we're getting hammered.
And we have to somehow prove our worth. So to present shows in Vegas and in LA and whatever, shows that I used to wait up and watch till 4 or 5 in the morning.
That's the one.
It's mad. I'm like, Okay, and when they put you in the ear, it's weird because when they've got your earpieces on, you guys, and they say, I add it live. And your heart and welcome to the.
It's funny because I told you the other day, I forgot what fight it was recently, where you were in the middle of the ring, like
Usyk Fury.
Was it Fury?
Usyk
I was
Fury,
watching with my uncle, and I was like,
That's my boy. That's my guy.
in the middle. Not ringside.
No, he's in the middle.
No, in the middle. Nah, man, I love it. I love it.
That was crazy.
You know what I like? Your drip game has come on massively, isn't it?
It's come on.
You are.
Tell him again.
Like,
Tell him
not
again.
even the
He's
fact
not
that
playing
he's in the
games.
middle.
The money's gone up. The money's gone up. You can tell. You can tell.
Proper. Like walking in
I'm
there
not
with
gonna lie, I thought you
swagger.
dressed well before.
No. But it's gone levels. It's gone levels. And he knows he's gone levels. That's why. Look at his smile on his face. The check's gone up. He's gone levels. What did you just say? The double-breasted comes out. I don't need a shirt all the time. I can just do the T-shirt.
I like it.
But you know what? It speaks volumes of where you've got to and where else you will get to, because you don't just front, like you've just said, Las Vegas, without knowing that there's a future that could be, the world could be your oyster. And it's so amazing to see.
Thank you,
like,
I appreciate
it's
it.
so amazing.
Hopefully you can do it succinctly, because you've been on such a journey, and I know that some people, some young people might be watching this, and parents might be, show your kids, because your journey is actually incredible. Because I think some people might have seen you like within the last 4 or 5 years, you've been on TalkSport, you've been on and not realising that before that, not too distant past, you weren't even working in sports broadcasting. No. So I want to know about the YouTube. I want to know about life before the YouTube and life after it.
Raw. So life before the YouTube was strange. For those, and I'm happy you mentioned it, because there are a lot of youngsters that do watch this stuff. And so I was in a homeless hostel. So I was in a homeless hostel for 4 years up until I was 24. And then finally got a job, Islington Council. And I say this without bragging because this is wrong, but no college or university or anything like that. And stay in college, kids. Just stay in college, do university.
I think they have to now.
Yeah,
no choice. No jobs.
No jobs. So then I got a job at Islington Council. And I think that job helped me because I was just a call centre operative. But what that meant is that I'm always on the phone speaking.
Yeah.
It's constant. You don't know who's calling about what. It could be about
people
rubbish.
Skills. You're learning people
so you're
skills.
always speaking.
But you're refining how you talk as
This
well.
is it, right? So you go away from that street talk, if you like. You're speaking how you really should speak.
Yeah.
And then when my friend Ryan Rayson, who's a much bigger boxing fan than me, we used to watch boxing all the time in his house at 4 or 5 in the morning. And then it was my partner at the time said, you guys should just start a YouTube channel talking about boxing. We're like, you're crazy though. What are we talking about? And then we started one, and it wasn't even big followings. It was like 300 views, 400 views. It wasn't massive. And then I decided to do my own, which I still do to this day.
With the green chair.
With the green chair. And I've just been doing that. And that gives me those hours. You know, they say 10,000 hours.
Yeah.
So I literally would just, at the time it was just my phone. So I would just talk to my phone and just do video every single day. So when you do get put into a position where you are on TalkSport or DAZN or Amazon, you're comfortable with a camera in front of you because well, I've done this before myself. So, and then as you know, once you get into the broadcast world, unfortunately for us people...
How did that happen though?
Man, so...
how did you go from YouTube to major broadcasters?
So there was a company at the time called Arise News. Samantha Johnson, that we know used to work on Arise News, and it must have been Floyd versus Manny Pacquiao fight. I don't know how, but they saw the channel, the YouTube channel, and they were like, "Can you come down and talk about the fight?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" I'll come down. I'll come. But I've got work at Islington so I can do it in my lunch break. So I went down. They got me an Uber.
Yes,
and
that's
Addison
right.
Lee.
They were doing Addison Lee.
Addison Lee, I was like, raw. Addison Lee came and picked me up. I was like, what? Addison is outside. I was like, this is mad. So I got in Addison Lee, did it, and then there was a producer there that said, you could do a bit more, there's something about you could do a bit more. So I got the gig of doing 2 days a week for them, no fee, but just 2 days a week doing the sports section after with a Samantha Johnson or someone, just doing
sports or boxing?
No, just sports.
Just all sports.
So I was doing NFL, cricket, football, everything. And then I left that, I went to Nigeria. Me and my missus decided to go to Nigeria. And then I applied for a few roles in Nigeria, got a big role in South Africa, doing boxing only. They went defunct, Kwesi Sports they were called. But I thought I've got enough of a little showreel here of Kwesi, Arise, to apply for Sky Sports and other brands. And I got Sky Sports transfer show, and then it just went boom.
Brilliant.
Sky Sports transfer show was the big one.
Brilliant.
Fantastic.
And what I'm also, I know we're tight on time, but what I'm also really, I love hearing people's processes. So I've just got back from the Paralympics. Hugh was doing the Euros this summer. People think it's a jolly. They just see you on TV. They just see you in the ring, buff suit, looking clean. They think that's what it is. They don't see the process that goes before all of that.
Yeah.
Go on, Hugh.
You know, because even I want to know about the process because I've done live broadcasting.
Yeah.
I'm doing much shorter, so I do football and rugby, right? 90 minutes, 80 minutes. So you got a half time, you got a chunk there. You're doing boxing. It could end in round one. It could end in on points.
yeah.
Exactly. The other thing is the broadcast is 6, 7 hours long. You know, it's crazy. So just from your perspective, preparing for that and carrying that out, how does it work?
What do you do? Talk to me about the whole process.
It's difficult, you know. I think my preparation comes maybe weeks or months beforehand. Just quite, again, because I have a YouTube channel and I talk about boxing, the information's already there. I'm stuck on it already, so I'm not having to learn it per se. It's not like someone's giving me a cricket broadcast and then okay, here we go, I've got to study this. It's already studied innately because I've been doing it for so many months and weeks. But to your point about the broadcast, I haven't done a football broadcast and other sports and done a boxing is so much more harder because it's 9 hours. And as you say, anything could happen. So you've almost got to be on your toes knowing that this could go 12 rounds and then you've got to do a post-fight interview and it's a bit different, or this could go 1. So it's you have to be ready for everything. And then the in-ring interview as well is an interesting one because you're going in the ring and these guys or girls have kicked the what out of each other. And you're going in there and you've got to ask that first question. And you can see mentally they're not there. They're concussed. They're heavily breathing. And you somehow got to get something out of them in 2 minutes. And they want to go and take the mic and they're erratic. And that's probably the hardest thing, that post-fight interview. And it's weird. My thing about getting ready for it mentally is they're fighting. Like, I'm nervous. I'm thinking, if I'm nervous, they just had a fight. So whatever nerves I'm going through or thinking, these people have been through hell. So just be prepared for it. But AJ is always the toughest with the post-fight interviews because he's so, I don't know what his adrenaline level is after a fight, but it's through the roof. And he wants to grab the mic. And if you know, you let them take the mic,
I've seen you once or twice, like holding the mic.
I'm holding it.
No, I'll hold the mic.
This is why Ade goes gym every day. Before he wanted to look good. Just to hold that mic.
I'll hold the mic.
The last fight, I'm not joking. The last fight he did against Ngannou, I'm not even joking. I'm looking at him like, and I'm saying, I'm not joking. I'm taking the mic. I'm saying this. I'm saying, don't take the mic. Don't take the mic. Don't take the mic. And he's like, what do you mean? What do you mean? I'm like, don't take the mic. Literally, he's talking to me.
To Ngannou or to AJ?
I'm talking to AJ.
AJ, okay.
And AJ's trying to grab the mic. I'm like, don't take the mic. Don't take the mic. Oh, and he's like, what do you mean? He's looking at me, bro, and the sweat is dripping down my hands. And I know I've only got 5 more seconds for him. I'm going to sleep there. And then he lets go. I'm like, whoa, thank you. Because he gets out of the ring. He goes around. He starts talking to the crowd.
You can't do
and then
that.
you've lost it. You lost it.
And you're never getting that mic back, are you?
How good is the buzz, the adrenaline moment when a fight ends, sometimes by the knockout? Because I see it in my mind, just from doing some broadcasting, as like you're in a fire station and the alarm bell rings and everyone
you gotta go.
who was just chilling watching TV suddenly is like, right, game on mode now, like putting their stuff on, putting their helmets on, onto that truck, out we go, and it's just the sirens blare. I just wondered how it feels.
It's so brutal. You know, I have a love-hate for boxing. It's strange. My introduction to boxing, like you guys, probably Mike Tyson and stuff, like Nigel Benn. So I've always liked it.
Which was older than us.
Mine was, we're going to talk about that anyway. We're going to talk about
Sugar Ray Robinson, 1930.
Henry Cooper.
Yeah.
We can end this now.
My love has always been there, but I'm a big football and athletics fan. But watching boxing up close and seeing the brutality of the knockouts, my first thought, I'm not even joking, is I'm always looking at the person that got knocked out. I'm like, where everyone's eyes are on the winner, I'm always like that, because I'm like, whoa, they're not getting up. Because I did an event in South Africa where someone died in the ring. So in my head, I'm already like, are they okay?
Just checking,
yeah, because everyone's going mad in the crowd and throwing drinks, and I'm like, that person's getting oxygen over there. And then once I see them get up, then I'm like, all right, let's celebrate the win. But it's so violent, it's scary.
Is that why it's maybe different in terms of the fan reaction? I know journalists who've gone to cover boxing and been like, I don't want to do boxing. I thought I wanted to do boxing until I was ringside. And then I saw the level of violence. It is violence, but these guys are incredibly skilled at doing something that's very, very brutal. So when that punch connects, you're seeing the power that's been developed in muscle memory since they were 5 years old, going through the body, the neck, and you see someone collapse on the floor, and you some people don't want to do that. They don't want to get covered in blood ringside, because that happens to people as well.
Yeah, sweat hits you, the blood hits you. And then I remember a couple of years ago, because there was this big discussion about concussion in football from heading the ball. And I'm thinking, from heading the ball?
Yeah.
That's nothing. I mean, you're talking a 20-stone man in AJ putting full torque and force and landing clean. And I'm thinking, if there's a problem with heading a ball, what are these fighters going to be like in 20, 30 years when it's all said and done? I do worry for it.
Sorry, but my question was going to be about kind of social media abuse and the way people talk about boxers. When you know firsthand what they go through and how dangerous it is, do you kind of see that and think,
stop?
Well, just fans need to wake up almost, like they're abusing players for missing a chance at the weekend or goalkeeper making a mistake. And obviously that's absolutely dreadful. But these guys are risking their lives and getting abused because they lost a fight. It's crazy to me.
I almost feel like you've got to be around the fighters to kind of gain that respect. And maybe fighters need to do more in terms of their own socials to educate people. Because I used to be a bit like that on the green chair. Before I started going to boxing events, I'm like, come on, man, this guy needs to do better. Then you go and watch them spar and train, and like these are the fittest, and only the top 1% are making footballers money. The rest of them have second jobs, third jobs. Do you know what I mean? So you do feel like AJ, he's fine. He's with the Ronaldos and Messis when it comes to money, but the others are just not. They're not getting 10 grand.
Money can't.
I think I'm going to ask a question you're going to ask. Sorry, we've got a wrap, but
we've got a wrap.
I've
got two questions I've got to ask.
Well, one of mine was going to be about the current state of boxing and the levels. Was that one of your questions?
No.
You finish off. You finish off then.
I want to know about Saudi Arabia.
No, I just want to jump on the fact. I was at the Ben McClellan fight. So when you talk about looking at the person that's been knocked down, I watched McClellan go from a very powerful man who looked like he could knock the hell out of anybody to a man that was obviously suffering. At those moments, what are you? So you explain kind of like you're looking at the person that's knocked down, but I was crushed. He's my guy, but I wasn't ringside. I was up. You're in and around that. AJ's a friend, yeah.
Yeah.
If he gets knocked out on Saturday, how do you feel?
I don't know. I don't know, because he's never been knocked out. He's been knocked down and got up, and he's kind of smiled, and it's like he's always been okay.
Yeah.
I've never seen him knocked out cold on the floor, not getting up. He fought a guy called Francis Ngannou last time, who had never been knocked down, and he got knocked out. And you saw Francis Ngannou's, I think it was auntie and mum, try and jump in the ring, because they couldn't believe this hulk of a man had been knocked down. So it's hard. It's scary. I always look at the wives and family members. I do that and look at their reaction, and they can barely watch. Even if they've got the favourite in the fight, they can barely watch.
Well, there are some mums and wives that don't even go to fights. They refuse to go to some fights.
There's no exaggeration.
They don't want to see it.
You can die in the ring. I don't know how many deaths there were last year, but you can die. It's not a joke. Honestly, that's why they get so upset with the YouTubers kind of mucking around a bit in this sport, because you don't play in boxing. It's not a joke sport.
So that's that question then, isn't it? Because look, you guys made that joke that I was watching boxing in 1938 and all that kind of crap.
30, I said.
So I
actually said 21. Sugar Ronson, 1921.
Let's get it right.
I was brought up on the Alis, the Fraser, the Norton, the big fights, Larry Holmes, and then obviously came Mike, and then the era of the middleweights, Sugar Ray, Hagler, Duran. That was me fixated on boxing. Where's it got to? You've just mentioned the YouTubers and stuff like that. Is it anywhere near to that level of what we were seeing? They used to call them the super fights, didn't they?
It's not
where everyone fought everyone.
No, it's not that. It's not that. It can't even... It's not even close to that. Like, the talent level of boxers then and now is just... I mean, there are some boxers that could hang. Terence Crawford could hang. Canelo could hang. Usyk could hang. Fury could hang because of the size of him. But it's very few and far between. I mean, the talent level then... And I don't know why. I'm not quite sure if they've just gone to other sports. I'm not sure if A lot of those athletes have crossed over and done MMA, or the big guys have gone to NFL in America. They look at your profile, 6'6", big guy,
We
NFL.
like that, yeah.
We like that because it's easier. The money will get your contract immediately and signed. It's light and day. You've named those some of the best of all time.
Yeah.
It's
But
not
that's
just
what I
America,
thought.
right? It's where are the boxers from Cuba? Where are the boxers from Russia? You know, there were boxers from all over the world who were adding to the talent
Cuban,
pool.
Stevenson in the Olympics. You know, it's.
I'm not saying there aren't talented boxers out there, by the way, but I'm just talking about those mega
levels,
fights, those
the
super
levels,
fights, where we used to see, a lot of Americans, but the Brits would be added in there with a really talented fighter every generation. The Cubans, Mexico, obviously, we want to see where all of that talent is. Maybe they're just not making the fights.
That's a big part of it. The superstar names now are so powerful. They dictate, I want to fight him.
Yeah.
Canelo fought a guy on the weekend called Edgar Berlanga, who's not anywhere near Canelo. Canelo decides, you know what, I want that guy.
I want him.
Whereas before...
What, because he knows he'll win?
Yeah, because he knows he'll win and it's the risk reward. I'm going to get such a big reward and the risk is so low. So boxers are now choosing what they want to do as opposed to sanctioning bodies saying you have to fight him.
He's the number one.
Yeah,
you have to fight.
And so some guys are just, who are number 10, who are really good, are just stuck there because they don't have a big name or big promoter. They just can't get the push to get to fight number one.
Wow.
Listen, just bring it back finally to the fight on the weekend. You'll be there. It's going to be a massive 90,000. 96,000 at Wembley.
The record.
It's going to be huge. I'm Team AJ. I'm a big AJ fan. I'm not a massive boxing guy, as I said, but I like AJ.
Yeah.
So I want him to win.
I'll tell him.
Let him know, pass it on for me. But just bring it back to you. We love your rights, bro.
Thank you.
We see you. We've all worked with you. We're really proud of you.
You know what? We've not even spoken. What was you the first of last season in the Premier League?
Yeah, the first black Premier League football.
Dan's giving me daggers,
Which
but
is a
I'm gonna-
disgrace.
Squeeze it in.
It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace. That it's a disgrace, isn't it? It's an utter.
It is.
It's an utter disgrace. And I even watch the coverage now of the Premier League, and it just.
Yeah.
Oh, after Mr. Disgrace, that I forgot to mention that you were the first.
No, it's
sorry.
a disgrace that he was at this period of time,
Okay,
but
yes,
ultimately,
yes.
it's still something to be.
And what? Yeah, but it's not even. It's not like that happened and doors have been kicked open.
Yeah.
And now we've got so many presenters who are like, wow, look at so many. No.
I've spoken to every single... Not to say I'm better than other black presenters that are out there, because I'm not, but I've spoken to so many companies. Not that they should hire me because of my race, but you can't even get a conversation. Nothing.
And then without...
That's me, though.
But then as broadcasters, as we do, and you shouldn't do it, right? Each their own, but you do watch people and you're like, 1 second.
Yeah.
Oh, well, wait a minute. What's going on here? I could easily.
The main thing for me is, and I hate to compare us with other communities very finally on this, but we know that particularly Premier League football, is watched by, consumed by people of all backgrounds. The players, we know, are over 50% black men. And black men don't really present live football in this country.
No, don't.
Don't.
Yeah.
Don't. And there's not even a don't really.
Full
I mean,
stop.
you have a couple of ex-footballers and you might have a reporter. JD does quite a bit now. That's it.
Black women.
That's it. Oh, forget about it.
Yeah.
Forget.
What? Forget about it.
That's
Good luck.
sad.
Good luck.
It is sad, but we are enjoying seeing your work.
Thank you.
Keep pushing. You're the only one.
Yeah. If you're not in, you ain't getting it. So.
If you don't make it, that's it.
Yeah, we're done.
Yeah, exactly.
My own needs. Listen, that is Mr. Brit Lally. Don't forget to subscribe to us here on the podcast, on YouTube, all of your social platforms. We are there until next week. Peace.